G'day guys, Dyliedog here. I'd like to welcome you to the channel. So guys, today's video, we're doing a little bit more of a fun video today, where we're going to be taking a look at all the heirlooms that have been released in Apex Legends, and ranking them from worst to best. So guys, before we get into all that, I'd like to remind you guys to quickly click the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on, as I post 2 to 3 videos a week covering leaks, rumours and information about Apex Legends. And also guys, I'd just like to mention that we are so close to our 100 sub goal, and I'll just remind you guys that if we hit that goal by the end of the year, I will be doing a giveaway of Apex coins for the channel. But anyway guys, let's get into it. Now guys, before I start ranking all these heirlooms, I just want to mention that this is purely just my opinion. So guys, if you have a different opinion or have the same opinion, actually leave a comment down below of what your rankings are for every single heirloom, because I'd actually like to know and maybe compare mine to other people's. Now, I don't own all the heirlooms personally, however, I of course seen all the heirlooms and have seen them all in first person and third person. And basically, the only way I'm going to be basing my ranks today is purely on what I think looks the coolest. And to be perfectly honest, I don't actually hate any of the heirlooms. I actually think they all look pretty cool in their own certain way, but I do love some more than others. So guys, like I mentioned at the start of the video, we'll be starting with the worst heirloom in my opinion and working down to the best. So with all that being said, my belief for the worst heirloom in the Apex Legends is the Lifeline shock sticks. Now the design of the sticks aren't really the most eye-catching thing in the world. Now don't get me wrong, they are cool. And I do actually like the colours of the sticks, they do match with Lifeline. But for something that's supposed to be a melee weapon, I'm not too sure if it really makes much sense for something like an axe that Bloodhound has to make the same amount of damage as 2 sticks. Now the shock effect on the sticks, I believe, does add a nice touch of danger. However, that doesn't really make me fall in love with these shock sticks. It doesn't really make them much of a melee weapon in my opinion. Now guys, let's get into our next heirloom, which is ranked at number 6, which is for Pathfinder. Now Pathfinder's gloves do actually suit him very well, and with all the latest leaks regarding the next town takeover for Pathfinder, seems like it's going to be some kind of stadium or boxing arena, which I do think perfectly fit Pathfinder. And I do really like the design of the gloves. Now one thing I really love about this heirloom though, are the animations that the gloves have when the screens change. But my favourite animation is probably when Pathfinder starts fighting with Bloodhound's Raven. That one's really cool when it just starts to fighting the Raven. That was really awesome, I really like that one. And to be honest, I really don't have much of a problem with Pathfinder's heirloom in any shape or form. I guess maybe because I don't use him as often as other legends. It's probably the reason why Pathfinder's heirloom isn't really higher up on this list. So now at number 5, we have Mirage's statue, or trophy. Now again, like Pathfinder's gloves, I do think that this trophy is actually a perfect fit for Mirage. Before Mirage received an heirloom in Season 5, I actually found it difficult to find something that would actually suit Mirage for an heirloom. However, this statue fits him perfectly. With Mirage being the self-centered legend, and always thinking about himself, I think a statue of himself fits him perfectly. Now I have placed this heirloom at number 5, really because I like the other heirlooms more, and to be perfectly honest, I don't really see a statue as a weapon. I mean, unless you're really drunk at a party and you grab the statue because it's heavy and you want to pick a fight with someone. But other than that, I really don't see it being a weapon, but again, the design is super awesome. Now placed at number 4, we have Octane's butterfly knife. Now when I first heard Octane was receiving a butterfly knife as his heirloom, I didn't really think that really suited him too well, but the design of this weapon is really cool. I especially love the vial of green liquid inside the knife, which moves when you're moving, which really makes this knife stand out and really actually shows why this suits Octane. And another little detail which I like is the little needle on the back of the knife, which could work as his stim. These little details are really what make these heirlooms unique, and what I really like about these certain heirlooms. And again, the only reason why this heirloom isn't high is because I like the other ones a little bit more. But again, this heirloom for Octane is really cool, and I really do like it. So now guys, let's get into the top 3 now, where we get to Wraith's kunai knife. Now if you're like me and are pretty decent at the game, you've probably been killed by a sweaty Wraith main a bunch of times in your games. And if really, to be honest, if you don't have the kunai, then let's face it, you're basically a worthless piece of shit, and no way in hell should you be classified as a sweaty Wraith main. But in all seriousness, this is probably the least rare heirloom because Wraith is so popular, and is usually the first heirloom that everyone unlocks whenever they get heirloom shards. However, I do think this heirloom is really cool. So unique, and again, perfect for Wraith. Let's be honest, Respawn have really knocked the ball out of the park with all these heirlooms, and have made them perfectly unique for every single legend that has received one. And a little tidbit about this one is this is actually the first heirloom that was ever teased in the game, and in fact was actually teased in the launch trailer of Apex Legends way back on the 5th of February 2019 on the release date of Apex Legends. And to be honest, at the time, no one really knew what that knife part was, but looking back at it now, it's actually a really incredible thing to look back at, and to see they've been teasing these heirlooms since day dot. Now back to the knife, with the aura around the knife, with that little blue effect, which almost looks like a mini portal, really makes this probably the most best suited heirloom for any legend. Now I choose a second position, which was actually a difficult decision, but I have placed Bloodhound's Raven's Bite at second position. Now this is probably the equal coolest looking heirloom, and the only reason why it's in second is why I'll explain in a minute, and why it was edged out by Caustic's hammer for top spot. But first let's talk about the awesome axe. The design is so good. Firstly, the color of the dark grey and black mixed in with the red aura is so awesome, and the bird on the back of it with the red eyes glowing gives it such a mysterious look and really suits Bloodhound. Now like I mentioned at the start of the video, I was ranking these heirlooms based on how cool I thought they were. And really, there's only two reasons why Caustic's heirloom won. And surprisingly, it's not because I'm just a Caustic main. Now, reason one is just a small detail, but it does annoy me. And it is the fact that when you were running as Bloodhound, half the axe is out of the screen. And if you're going to be paying a lot of money for something like that, I would be able to see the heirloom all the time. Now the second reason why Caustic's was first was the fact that Bloodhound's heirloom only has one animation while Caustic's heirloom has 5. And Bloodhound's inspect for his heirloom really isn't very interesting. Now I wish when Bloodhound looked at the axe, maybe the eyes would burn red. And even when Bloodhound looked at the axe, it would make some type of noise which sounded like Arthur, his raven. I mean, that would actually be really cool. And maybe they would make an update like that maybe sometime in the future. So now guys, we're at number 1, my favourite heirloom, and that is for Caustic. Now I know I am a bit biased. It was probably always going to love Caustic's heirloom no matter what it was going to be. However, I really do love the design. The yellow obviously suits Caustic with his original skin being yellow, and the fact that you can load a gas canister in the hammer is actually kind of cool. Not only that, but all the animations with this death hammer actually make it really awesome, and I have counted I think 5 animations with this Caustic heirloom, which I do believe is the most of any heirloom, which is super cool. And even the little things with this hammer are really what makes this heirloom awesome for Caustic. The eerie green eyes always following you, and the gas mask on the heirloom. Even the little gas effect that the enemy gets when you hit the hammer onto an enemy is awesome. But if I had to pick my favourite thing about Caustic's heirloom, I think I'd have to say it's one of the rare animations with his coffee mug. When you hold the inspect for his heirloom, you get a bunch of animations, but my favourite has to be the one where he grabs out his coffee mug and then just takes a sip. And is by far the best to pull out when you've just won a game and you're on the champion screen and all your enemies are watching you. Just drink a little sip of coffee and just take a load off. And plus it does really piss off your enemies. And of course is the exact reason why after you see a lot of my gameplays where I win, I try to grab out the hammer and try to get the Caustic's coffee mug out. Alright guys, that is all the heirlooms that have currently been released from Apex Legends. So at number 7 we have Lifeline's shock sticks. At number 6 we have Pathfinder's boxing gloves. At number 5 we have Mirage's statue. At number 4 we have Octane's butterfly knife. Number 3 we have Wraith's kunai knife. At number 2 we have Bloodhound's axe. And number 1, my personal favourite heirloom is Caustic's hammer. That is all I have in this video. Now don't worry, my next video should be something to do with some type of news regarding Apex Legends, but I didn't want to wait a week to upload for you guys. So guys, before I go, I'd like to remind you that if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave it a like, and also subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on, as I post 2 to 3 videos a week covering leaks, rumours and information about Apex Legends. But anyway guys, Dyliedog will catch you all later.